Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Matt, that's Alonso, and that is Jackie Coley. We are going to be talking about Netflix's new movie that just dropped last night, the Cloverfield Paradox.
So yeah, I suspect people are going to be talking more about the whys and the hows. This was delivered into the world more than the movie itself. But in a nutshell, we're set on an Earth where energy is almost out. There's pending land war. A group of scientists are in outer space to set off something akin to like the Large Hadron Collider that's somehow gonna reboot the Earth. And of course, things don't ever quite work out the way they're supposed to. And it's a Cloverfield movie, so there are monsters, kinda, sorta. Take a look.
Whatever you're doing, stop.
All right, if you haven't seen a Cloverfield, you're lost on this, I think, is part of the problem with this.
No.
I think actually to the contrary, it's so its own thing that, you know, in the same way that 10 Cloverfield Lane doesn't become a Cloverfield movie until the last.
Well, I'll put it this way then. I think this movie mines a lot of drama and a lot of tension out of knowing at least about the other Cloverfield movies, and that's a thing. If you went into this not having any other glimpse into this universe, I think you were maybe a little less worried about it. Then it's just like freaky and kind of a long sort of Twilight Zone or Black Mirror, as opposed to, oh God, this is like really Lovecraftian stuff behind what happened in the first Cloverfield.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing is I think having seen the first two films actually may be a downside to enjoying this one particular, because all of the tie-ins do feel kind of tacked on and just not really integral to the plot.
And I'm even hearing theories now that, well, this is actually a parallel dimension to those other movies.
Yes.
Because those two movies don't even occupy the same universe necessarily.
Because spoiler alert, it's paradox, parallel universes is a central theme into what's causing their issues and the problems that they are battling.
And even if you haven't seen the other movies, like you do get that Donald Logue interview early on where he says, where he predicts everything that's gonna happen. So that's all you need, I think.
Well, then I'm thinking like, is this The Mist?
I'm thinking this is life. This felt like
life.
It felt like life. It felt like Alien Covenant, and
Are we talking about the old, really old Eddie Murphy movie?
No.
No, nor the magazine, nor the board game, nor the cereal.
No, we're talking about the Ryan Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal.
That you've already forgotten about.
Yes, but the interviews from it were far better than the movie itself. Like if you want a great deep dive on YouTube, those two on their junket
They give good junket.
They do give good junket, perfect word. But yeah, I just felt it was just kind of a middle of the road, like this could have been on sci-fi. This was not bad. Again, kudos to Netflix because this was originally supposed to be released by Paramount. They have a ton of names. Gugu Mbatha-Raw, they have
David
Oyelowo, Zhang Ziyi, what's his name from?
Chris O'Dowd.
Daniel Brühl. I mean, you have Ava DuVernay on Twitter calling out saying, hey, this has POC leads. It was directed by a woman of color. Like, you guys need to see this movie.
Man of color?
Sorry,
I think man of color, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't need to say film. Female of color lead. You know what I mean?
I feel like she oversold it a little bit.
She did
oversell
it.
But by the same token, we talked about this, or at least Christy and I talked about last week or a couple of weeks ago, the country music romance.
Oh, remember? No, Forever My Girl.
Right, Forever My Girl is directed by a woman in one of the few wide releases recently. It's like, well, women get to direct mediocre films too.
So
people of color get to be in mediocre films too.
And that is the great equalizer. That is the great equalizer. I've always said when you can have a working middle of the road black film director, we will have realized parody in actuality.
Would you say John Singleton's there with like the hired gun stuff that he does?
Honestly,
maybe.
I would say that if his arrogance didn't make me think that he thinks he's the greatest thing since Spike Lee.
Yeah, but then that point goes for all these other like mediocre directors.
I still think it needs to be in like a woman's field because again, I think the male mediocrity, regardless of race, allows you to walk into confident situations and say,
I assure you it does. Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about the release of this movie because I think
speaking of mediocre,
that is the most interesting thing about this movie is that this sort of lemonade style. You know, I've heard people talk about because that's been a thing lately where suddenly an album just appears and there was no advance hype and no press about it. Just suddenly it's there. people saying, well, you know, is somebody going to do that with a movie? And Netflix, you know, for the price of one Super Bowl spot, like everybody watched this movie last night. And at least on my Facebook wall, everybody hated this movie last night. And I was like, I can't even I can't gin up the anger to hate this thing because it's just so.
I didn't think it was terrible.
I didn't think it was terrible. Again, I'm the opposite of y'all. When Ava tells me to do things, I kind of, it's like when Oprah tells you to do things, like you just do them and you assume they're going to be great. And so when they're not, I'm disappointed for her and black women in general. I was disappointed because I was hyped up by Ava. And then the Super Bowl ad was like right after it, man. Like, so I thought it was going to be better than what it was. The best part about it, besides the marketing though, was the performances. I feel like Gugu, like people may not know her necessarily.
She was terrific.
She did Belle. She also did is it Beyond the Lights? Behind the Lights?
Beyond the Lights,
whatever. That film from a few years ago, I think, and this really kind of shows her range. I think she's about to have a big year. She's got another one coming out, Fast Colors, that I hope will be better. But
no, I'm a fan. I think she's great. It was weird that Zhang, or however she's doing her name, is the one cast member who isn't called upon to be multilingual.
And she's just there. And I felt like she was so tacked on. Like, can you give the girl more to do?
Yeah, she did feel like an addendum, you know. But you can't like start parsing this script as far as any kind of logic, because I think Alison Wilmore said for a sci-fi movie there's a lot of, and then a wizard shows up kind of, you know, in the writing.
At the moment when I remember when the hand like showed up, I literally was like, there could have been a better way. There just has to be a better way to illustrate this.
There's a couple lines that Chris O'Dowd has in the movie that I'm like, man, that's the movie. Like, I don't know what movie he walked in from, but that's the movie I want to see.
People love or hate him, though. I saw a lot of like mixed reactions to Mundy was his character, right?
And well, I think he's in the wrong movie.
He is in the wrong movie. Like they liked him, but in the wrong movie. And again, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't. It just wasn't. It wasn't what it was built to be.
I think that in the long term, Netflix is going to have to realize that. While on the one hand, it's like, hey, we've got big movies like Bright, and hey, we've got this, you know, we've taken over the Cloverfield franchise and we're gonna spring it on you during the Super Bowl. We're only gonna fall for that so many times, like if these movies aren't actually good.
Here's what's gonna happen.
But
here's
will
my
there
prediction.
be another gamble that they want to do like this?
Well, here's what I think we're gonna see the groundwork of within the next 2-3 years, and we have to wrap up, but I'm gonna make this prediction. Disney, when they start their own streaming service, will do this with a Star Wars movie or a Pixar movie
or a Marvel movie?
A Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And it'll be something that they've done kind of on the down low, or you'll hear of something like a TV show and then it turns out like, bam, here's your Runaways movie, and everyone will lose their mind.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And at the same time, it's like, you know, I would love to see this level of promotion for, you know, Of Body and Soul, the Hungarian Best Foreign Film nominee that also dropped on Netflix Friday. Did Netflix tell you about it? No, they didn't.
That's a good point. There's a lot of hidden gems that don't get put out on Netflix, but also Netflix was delivering snacks last night in major metropolitan cities for people to watch.
Score for the movie?
Oh, like a 6. You know, it's not the worst thing. It's just not special.
Yeah, 6 for me.
I'm gonna give it a 5.7, and that's a 0.3 deduction for the Ava tweet. It would have been a 6.
So that's a 5.9 for us. Does it have a tomato?
I don't know. Ask her.
17%.
Ooh, okay.
I actually knew that information.
All right.
68% audience.
Well, there's
score,
more Cloverfield coming, but hopefully they haven't totally dashed our desire to see more of them. So
thank you.